Good evening, and happy Tuesday to each and every one of you. We are glad that you all are coming in to join this conversation. So I just wanted to say happy Tuesday to each and every one of you. I hope that you all had a good day on today. And as you are coming in, I ask that you let me know where you're watching from. Just type it in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm excited to share this information on tonight. So, like I said, let me know where you're watching from tonight, your city and state. And then if you can, I want you to tag somebody. Tag somebody because this teaching is going to be really good tonight. So tag somebody and invite them or share it, start a watch party. But I'm only going to be on here for maybe 20 minutes max, but we're going to dive right into this teaching. We're going to start at 6 o'clock p.m. So again, if you are getting on, I ask that you simply let me know where you're watching from as you grab your virtual seats. So type in the comments what city and state you're watching from. Thank you all for joining in with me. And if you are catching the replay of this video, I want you to type replay in it. But I know those of you that are getting on right now, I just ask that you let me know what city and state you're watching from as we get ready to have this pivot conversation on this Tuesday evening. I'm excited. I'm excited about the information that was downloaded to me. And I want to share. If you aren't familiar with what we've been doing, we've been having what's called pivot conversations. And it's basically helping you understand why you pivot, helping you understand the purpose of the pivot. I know pivot has been like this huge buzzword during this pandemic. And so I just wanted to share some information, share some knowledge with you all as we are navigating through these uncertain times, navigating through our new normal, navigating through how life looks to us right now. So again, type in the comments, let me know where you're watching from, what city and state, and we will get started at 6 o'clock p.m. So welcome. It is 6 o'clock, so it is time to get started. I'm excited. I'm grateful for each and every one of you who have you taken the time to jump on this live with me. So I want to thank you for taking out time to jump on here with me. And if you are watching the replay, again, just type replay in the comments. I'm not sure if this is your first time tuning in or if you're tuning in to another pivot conversation. This may sound a little redundant to some of you who have tuned in before, because this is part 3. This is part 3 of the teaching series on the purpose of the pivot. And if you tuned in on Thursday evening, you'll know, and if you tuned in on last Tuesday, you'll know that the word that we are using is the word pivot. And you may be wondering, what's the purpose and why should I listen to this? Well, I'm glad you're wondering. So the purpose is to help you pivot and navigate through changes in your life. Whatever that change may be, it may be as simple as implementing something new into your daily regimen, or as complex as a career change or starting a new business. So something as simple as adding an additional challenge to your workout regimen, or something as complex as navigating through a relationship status change. Change is inevitable, people. Change is inevitable, and change will happen, whether it's forced, whether it's unexpected, or whether you initiate it. I'm here tonight and for this series of teachings as the Change Navigator, as your pivot partner to help you work through your fears, to help you simplify what seems complex as it relates to change, and to help you begin to live a life of joy and fulfillment once you implement necessary changes. So in its simplest form, the purpose of what I'm discussing, according to dictionary.com, pivot. Pivot simply means to turn on, to turn. The other definition it provided as it relates to basketball is to keep one foot in place while holding the ball and moving the other foot in another direction. I see you, Dallas. I see you, Houston. Thank you all for tuning in. I remember when I started learning how to play basketball and about the fundamentals of the game in middle school. My coach at the time was the late Mrs. Frances Leday. She taught us to pivot, especially when we were trapped in the corner and facing a turnover. So we understand what it means to pivot, but why should we pivot and what's the purpose? Why should we pivot and what's the purpose? So far, I've shared two reasons for the purpose of the pivot. The first one, the purpose of the pivot is to give you extra space. It's to give you extra space. You can think and create with that extra space. And then the second purpose that I've given, the purpose of the pivot is to give you an alternative. Anytime a problem presents itself, the solution is already present, the alternative, all right? Remember this, anytime a problem presents itself, the solution is always present. It's always there. The alternative to the problem is always present when it's always present. The solution is always present when the problem presents itself. So tonight, we are focusing on number 3, the purpose of the pivot. You ready? Number 3, the purpose of the pivot is to see something differently. All right? The purpose of the pivot is to see something differently. I want you to type that in the comments. The purpose of the pivot is to see something differently. All right? But it's only for a moment. It's only for a moment. If I can take you back and put in your mind, I don't know how many of you all familiar with sports or with basketball, but when you're trapped in the corner and you try to pivot, it gives you just a little window when you're under pressure and you need to make a decision. All right. If you stay where you are, if you don't pivot, you only see one dimension. All right. And sometimes no possible escape. But when you pivot, you see something differently. You see something differently. You see another way of escape. You see something differently. Maybe something that was blocked is now opened. I see you in the comments, Rodney. I see you, Lily. You see something that is now open and you need to make a decision. You need to make a decision once you see something that is open. So the successful outcome of the pivot is predicated upon timing. All right. The successful outcome of the pivot is predicated upon timing. Thank you, Ingrid, for that. The successful outcome of the pivot is predicated upon timing. I need you to type that out too. The successful outcome of the pivot is predicated upon timing. Yes, timing is important when it comes to your pivot. When it comes to my pivot, therefore, we have to move during that window of opportunity. All right. We have to move during that window of opportunity. The purpose of the pivot is to allow you to see something differently. And if you are enlightened to an escape, if you are given an answer to something you've been praying about, wondering about, questioning God about, then what will prevent you from making this turn? What will prevent you from making this pivot? Maybe you might see something differently. You ready for this? As a result of a conversation. I don't know about you all, but I've been in conversations with certain people, and in the middle of talking, it's like a light comes on. All right. Maybe you see something differently as a result of something you've read. Maybe you picked up an article, or maybe you've picked up a book, and in the middle of being stuck, something that you read kind of opened your eyes and you're like, okay, the timing is perfect. I need to do this. Or maybe you've seen it as a result of something you've watched on TV or some type of video you watched on YouTube or whatever, but you have seen something differently. So I want you all to do this. Be open to getting answers unconditionally. Unconventionally, I'm sorry. Be open to getting answers unconventionally, because the answer you are looking for may not come the way it has come in the past. Okay? The answer you are looking for may not come in the way that it has come in the past. Be open in your mind, be open in your spirit, even in your emotions. And I say emotions because many people are emotional decision makers. Many people are emotional decision makers. And I do know that rationale and emotions have to line up in order for people to change. So they both have to make sense to both parts of you. It has to make sense to the logical part of you, and it has to make sense and it has to resonate with the emotional part of you. So I want you to be open to getting your answers in unconventional ways. So back to what I was saying, being open to receiving answers and unconventionally. What do you do when you want to have alone time? What do you do when you want to have alone time? Do you sit in your room? Do you go for a drive? Do you go for a bike ride or a walk? Maybe you sit and you take a long bath. I know some people who go fishing for alone time. The question is, the question I want you to ponder, what are you doing when your mind is the clearest, when your mind is the most open? What are you doing? Whatever it is that you do. This week, I want you to be intentional about doing that thing. I want you to be intentional about doing the thing that causes you to have clarity of thought. Because I want you to be open to receive an answer you didn't expect. All right. I want you to be open to receive an answer that you did not expect, but you have to be more observant and you have to pay attention. Get this, to what's going on in you and what's going on around you. Okay. You have to pay attention to what's going on in you and what's going on around you. Write that down. Pay attention to what's going on in you and what's going on around you, because sometimes we get so comfortable with our routine and we get used to being comfortable. And when something unexpected comes and makes us feel as though we are trapped, when we are faced with a barrier, we lose it. We lose it in that moment. We make an irrational decision. We make an impulsive decision that may not be for the best interest of us. So I want you to put into practice now seeing something differently. How? By being more observant, by listening intently. Sometimes the answers are hidden in plain sight, but everything has to do with timing. Timing can cause things that were blocking the answer to shift them out of the way, if only for a brief moment. Timing can cause things that were blocking the answers to shift them out of the way, if only for a brief moment. So I'm going to say that again. Timing can cause things that were blocking the answer to shift them out of the way. The answer you've been looking for to be shifted out of the way, if only for a brief moment, but it depends on timing. You have to be able to see something different. And so here's my assignment for you tonight as I'm wrapping this up. See, I told you I wasn't going to be long. So my assignment tonight is, if you are feeling stuck, number one, get to the place. Do that thing that causes you to have a clear mind. All right? That's number one. Get to the place. Do that thing that causes you to have a free mind. Number one. Number two, pay attention to what's going on in you and what's going on around you. While you are in that place, that you're having a clear head, pay attention to what's going on in you and what's going on around you. Number three, be more observant and listen intently. Be more observant and listen intently. And number four, expect to see something different because timing will remove things blocking the answer that you've been looking for. All right. Number 4, expect to see something different because timing will remove things that's blocking the answer that you've been looking for. All right. So that's the teaching on tonight. Number 3, the purpose of the pivot is to see something differently. So how can you apply that to your life? How can you apply that to your life in the place where you're in the place where you are in life? You may feel like, okay, I need to do something. I don't like where I am. I'm feeling stuck, but I'm not quite sure of the direction I should be going. Just pivot. Just a slight turn. It doesn't have to be anything drastic. It doesn't have to be anything just huge, but make a turn and make a decision to do something differently. All right. So it's time now for question and answers. It's time now for question and answers. I have a few minutes, so I'm open to take any questions you might have. If you have any questions, type them in the comments. And I understand that while you are watching, I'm a little bit ahead of the feed that's actually coming to you. So I'm going to wait a few seconds to see if you all have any questions. I'm looking at the comments. Thank you, Ronald, for your feedback. Thank you for joining the video. So if you have any questions, just type them in the comments. Any questions? Any comments? No questions? Did you all enjoy this teaching on tonight? If you enjoyed it, just give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts. Let me know if you got something from this. If you enjoyed the teaching, all right, I see some hearts. So thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and get off this live. If there are no questions, I thank you for your feedback. I thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I just want to give you some information that you can use and apply for your life as you pivot and as you make necessary turns. I have a podcast called The Change Navigator. You can find it on any media outlet, from Anchor to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, what else? Outcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public. It's on several outlets, and basically I'm continuing the conversation about talking about change. All right, that's what I'm doing. I'm just talking about change and trying to help people get comfortable with it, because sometimes people are uncomfortable with change. So I am sharing information to help you navigate through some changes in your life, whatever your changes look like. Again, whether it's relational, whether it's a workout regimen, whether it's an entire career change, whatever it is, whatever change it is, that's what I'm here to help you with. So I want you to take out time to think about some things that I said tonight. And if you don't want to put it in the comments, you can email me. Feel free to email me at thechangenavigator@gmail.com. And I will be back on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time to do another teaching. Again, I said I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I understand that everybody's time is valuable. And so I just want to give you enough information to help you move forward, to help you make some progress. And if you're just logging on, I ask that you go back and watch the live, go back and watch it and get the information that I shared. And again, tag somebody if you know they need this information. Tag them or send it in their messenger or share it on your page, however you want to do it. But I would appreciate if you tag somebody and share this information. And I definitely want to be your pivot partner. All right, your pivot partner as you begin to navigate through some changes. Hey, Terry, the good pastor, how you doing tonight? Thank you for logging in. I am getting off, but feel free to go back and listen to the replay. You all have a good night, and I look forward to doing this again with you all on Thursday.